up, sundown, creatures and gods around. Beware, prepare, it's dangerous. They'll linger in the dark. Climb from below, temples and tombs will fall down. Explore the realms, what is meant to be, take it all. Obey, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert, move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the metric and the omen of the mind.
Hey, to have peace, yes, Lord, there must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I'll gladly give my life. All my people can my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay. To God to pray every day. To the promised land, I understand the higher the highest height and the lower the lowest depths. I'm not afraid of my last breath. Life ain't nothing but a test. May the gods only know what's next.
Alarms, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert, move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the metric and the omen of the mind.
My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen. My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen.
Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies. Across the vast wild desert, move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and sharpen up your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the metric and the omen of the mind.
All right, so introduce your name, what team you're on, the kingdom you're in, and what realm you're from.
Yeah, I'm Fish. I'm player, migration leader, and nerf lover of 1960. I'm playing in 60 GT in Anubis realm. I'm a main player, and I'm playing mostly an open field focused role in the team.
Hi, my name is Night King. I'm leading BLN, and I'm from 365 Kingdom of Sura.
My name is Bud, and my team is 89 VC. We're from the Kingdom 2489, and we are in Bastet. Right?
Hey guys, what's going on? I go by the name Black Panther. I'm from Kingdom 2268 of Alliance SV68. I'm currently in Realm of Anubis.
Hey, we're Baby Raccoon and Choppy, leading Sobek Real Team, Galax LTD in Kingdom 2949.
My name is Cortex, I'm the leader of SW in Kingdom 2605 in the realm of Bastet.
I'm Khan, I'm the king of K79. Our team is S79, which is a combined of all of like our best players in the realm. It's not just one alliance. Our kingdom is 1079, and we are part of the oldest realm of Osiris, so we've been here from the start.
What are your initial thoughts to the new Ark of Osiris changes with Raging Sands modes being introduced?
So originally my thoughts were I wasn't sure like how I was gonna like it or not, but I have to say after playing several matches, I really do like it, and I think it adds a lot of tactical plans that you couldn't do when everyone could see the entire map.
I like it. I really like the graphic, and I really like the new skills. And then does the fog make it a little bit more challenging? I mean, I like the changing.
Well, I like the changes a lot. I think the fog makes stuff a lot more interesting. Strategies become a lot more unpredictable, and surprise victories seem a little bit more likely in the season.
What do you want to say to your opponents?
We're coming. Winter is coming. No, I mean, yeah, good luck to everybody. Hope everybody enjoys it. And I'm looking forward to meet some of these teams with a new mode.
Yeah, I better lose.
We're still a very young team, but everyone's been doing extremely well, and we have a very good group. You should not underestimate us, and we'll definitely show what we're made of this a while.
Go easy on us. Come on now. We're all friends here. But be ready for the challenges.
I want to say congratulations first off. They obviously had to work incredibly hard to get here. No one's in the top 32 that isn't a good team, even if, you know, some bad luck before. And, you know, I hope we have a good match when we play you.
To my opponents, I guess I'll just say good luck and have fun.
As you made it to playoffs, this is where it gets serious. We will do our best to perform as good as we can, and we hope you guys give us the return. Let's see some very competitive matches, show the other kingdoms what the upcoming ones can do and are capable of. Let's have a good time.
Hello everyone, we are back for round 2 of the group stage of Osiris League Week 2, where we've got two really solid players coming into this matchup. We've got the Mimi team versus LX46. 1175 is the kingdom for Mimi, and 1446 is for LX46. So I hope you guys are ready as we go into the cast here in just under 3 minutes or so. In the meantime, let's talk about a few things as we're going into the cast and why you're seeing this as a little bit of a delay. One, the Fog of War has changed the way we have to cast this matchup. There's a 12-minute delay because of the Fog of War and the Sentry skills. So there's no unfair advantage given to either opponent if they decide to come on the stream here that you're watching now, and they decide to go ahead and get a little extra advantage. That's gone. Also, we're hiding the skills that are actually picked by both teams too, so that neither side can see what skills have been picked by their opponent ahead of time so they know what's coming. That out of the way, I have the pleasure of talking with you today before this match gets started. We've got a load of things to go through as we decide to go into this matchup for the second part, 15 UTC matchups. Again, LX46 versus Mimi is going to be what we're going to be watching. Earlier in the morning, you should have seen me casting 93T winning their match, and that was a pretty solid match between them and Elk, who also fought JST the week prior. Lots of backstory there. I hope you guys didn't miss it. If you did, make sure you go pop over there and take a peek at it because there's some fun moments inside of that you don't want to miss. That being said, between Mimi and LX46, on the face of it, okay, there's a little bit of a power disparity. That being said, power only goes so far, and once you get to about 2.5 to 3 billion power for your team inside of the Osiris League system, you pretty much have all the things that you need. You just need to use some healing speed ups if you're right at that line, okay? So as long as you got some healing speed ups and you're willing to use them, you will be able to compete against the bigger players, the bigger groups inside of this system. Now, Mimi last week defeated A615, taking the win there. LX46 also winning last week against WSA, which is one of the older alliances in the game too. 27,200 for WSA versus LX46 getting 35,300. So big win there. We've got the group stage that we're going through right now. The top 2 teams for each group inside of each realm will go to the final 16 for each realm to go ahead and start battling it out for the chance at the actual title. Now, do have matches coming up here. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the match here momentarily. And what I'm going to have to do is, again, hide the skills so that you guys can't see them, so that they can't see them. But we're going to talk about them and what that could mean. Speaking of skills, there's tons of new skills in this game that do need to be talked about, because if you haven't used some of the new skills, they are kind of game changing. We definitely need to make sure that and I'm taking a peek at them myself before we go in. You do need to understand what those are. So let's go ahead and jump into the map, and then we'll start talking about some of the new skills that you may start to see here going forward. All right, so you see the Temple of Osiris right here in front of you. We've got 2 minutes until this battle starts. Speaking of battling, LX46 already popping in strong on the blue team on the top left corner. Now, the community has voted very heavily in favor of Mimi. So Mimi obviously has a lot of very large players, including one particular player that has multiple types of accounts, or people that are having their, big time accounts in this alliance. So this is a big, powerful alliance. It's over 6 billion strong, 6 billion power strong on this this clan of the Osiris League team for them. And again, the community has voted 84.3% favor the red team, favor Mimi versus LX46, only having just under 16%. Now, from a betting standpoint, if you bet on LX46 and they happen to win, that's a huge boon for you and your nice, sweet Auric coins. That being said, let's talk quickly about the new skills that are in the game. We've got Total Vision. We've got Dust Up, Master Strategy. We've got the new Sentry positioning skills for visibility inside of the game. And then we also have some of our old tried and true stuff. Now, a lot of teams have started to go away from some of the older stuff like War Drums and Mystical Formation and started leveraging the bonuses that you get from some of the new skills like Total Vision and Dust Up. And of course, certainly To the Death and Heaven's Grace has been inside of everybody's repertoire for quite some time. That's a gold standard in the middle. But a lot of teams are starting to combine your To the Death with, say, Total Vision for a maximum output of all damage types. A lot of folks are also thinking about using Sneaky Tactics to use that bonus as well, alongside of moving troops around where people can't see where they're at. We've got 5 seconds left. Let's go ahead and go to the front of the Mimi tribe here and see if we can go ahead and get a visibility on these marches coming out to acquire the first obelisk captures, which is very critical. The last match we saw at 13 UTC by Elk, they forgot to get their obelisk on the bottom lane very quickly. This guy decided, I'm not ready to go out yet. It seems like a little bit of a hectic time for me to be leaving with my garrison. So I'm going to come back. Now we do see, again, one T1 going that way, one set of T1s going that way as well. Is this a mistake? Do we see another set of T1s going up to get the obelisk for Mimi over here? Not sure if we see that. We see regular marches going over there instead. Looks like they're going to capture those maybe a little bit behind. Conversely, LX46 doing what they're supposed to do, using T1s to capture the outpost and then re-triggering charge. Hasty departure, excuse me. Re-triggering hasty departure to get that movement speed bonus to get towards that obelisk and capture it as quickly as possible. Same time, T1s from LX46 on the top lane, exactly what they're supposed to be doing. First capture goes to LX46. This will likely go down here towards the bottom to try and see if they can maybe ninja capture a Shrine of Life. Now again, remember, there is limited visibility with Fog of War. You can do some sneaky things with T1 marches at the very beginning that you really couldn't do before, because you could always see them coming over here to go ahead and chill. Now we got 200 seconds until this opens up. Maybe Mimi is a little bit behind and they decide they're just going to walk some people over here and get it. And then maybe the LX46 player can go ahead and capture this. We'll see how that goes. Conversely, Mimi also using their opportunity to bring some T1 marches over towards the opponent side of LX46. Now let's look at the visibility so you can see what I'm talking about. No visibility of this march. No visibility of this march for Mimi. So they don't see each other. They think they're all on their own, when in reality they could have high-fived each other and at least given each other some good luck wishes. Let's see what the rest of the map's looking like. All outposts taken care of. Mimi going ahead and doing some rallies to move over to the obelisk likely. Now, if they break it, that's a whole nother thing. Here's a sentry being posted by LX46. Decent positioning to be able to see what kind of troops are coming through this way. You have to kind of assume, though, that there's going to be a lot of troops here. I don't know if this necessarily is the best position for the sentry. Maybe putting it closer to here. This is actually not bad. So if you think about it, right, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. There's going to be a fight here. Now, let's check the visibilities here again and see what that looks like. This is LX46's visibility because of this sentry. Let's see what Mimi's visibility is. They see nothing. They see nothing. They don't see any of this. Now they're starting to get a peek at it. They're like, oh, there's just one march here. It's no big deal. I'll bring my 3 marches over. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Here comes LX46 down the pipeline. So this is why visibility is so critical. Now, again, they did probably go a little too far south for my liking, did LX46, but the damage is done. They're already starting to pound down some of these open field marches from Mimi because of the visibility. Now, again, here we go. We've got this player over here, as well as this player right here, both looking to go ahead and snag this Shrine of Life. Now, again, does Mimi see this? They don't see the Mimi player, and the Mimi player does not see these two. So this is going to be interesting. Now, does it see it? Does it get a little peek? Does it get a little peek? It does not. So the Mimi player thinks it's all by itself. There's a march sitting right here waiting to go in. There's another march coming. No big deal. Little do they know, there is 2 marches here. Now, one's T5, one's T1, but 1 minute remains until this opens up. This could actually be contended for with just 2 marches, which is very, very nice. Now let's look at these obelisks. It looked like there was the rallies that did go through for LX46. They did not cancel, which I don't know if that's the best play. Let's take a peek at the Desert Altars and see what the fights look like. Huge fight, of course, at the Desert Altar on the bottom lane we were just at before. More and more Mimi players coming in here along with LX46. If we zoom out just a smidge, we can see some of the dots and get a little better idea of how much each team has on the field. It looks relatively even, maybe a little bit of an edge to Mimi. It really depends on how these fights go and who starts losing marches first. Conversely, on the other Desert Altar, here's your fight. And very similar, although it does look like LX46 is very, very strong here and will hold this. We do have 10 seconds until the buildings spawn. This one looks more contentious. Let's go down here and take a peek at it. There's a lot of troops down here from Mimi and from LX46 right on top of the Desert Altar. Who is going to get it? Let's see. It looks like Mimi got it first. Now, we also were doing a little bit of visibility here. The double C did grab that first, so it does start the timer and delay Mimi from starting to capture points from this, but it's not going to do a whole lot. It delays for just a little bit. Now, conversely, again, Sky Altar, LX46 taking the Sky Altar from Mimi on the top lane, and the Desert Altar does go down to Mimi on the top lane as well, but this looks like it will be swarmed and surrounded and owned by LX46 very soon. But again, the delay is a thing. Delayed points are a thing, and they stack up very quickly throughout this matchup. We see more and more troops coming for Mimi here at the bottom. Now, this is only LX46's visibility. Let's go to both visibility and you start to see more troops coming in. They're holding this for a lot longer than I think they wanted to. Now, conversely, now Mimi owns all 4 altars. And LX46 is going to have to spend a lot of troops and a lot of time getting these altars back, at least the 2 on their own side. This is a strong start for Mimi when it comes to the building game because they needed to have a strong presence disrupting the points of LX46. I'm curious to see, with 5 minutes and 50 seconds to go until the middle fight, what that's going to look like in the middle. I'm curious how that's going to play out, what kind of strategies and skills we're going to see. There's the Sky Altar going in favor of LX46 finally. These Mimi players just coming up here to get their troops back, I guess. Pakal looking to hold strong there. Now Flavius, that's a strong play. Now conversely, they flipped it. So now LX46 flipped it. Tariq is holding this for about 2 more seconds before it goes back down in favor of Mimi. But LX46 also grabbed their Desert Altar back as well. But still a pretty strong fight here with Nevsky on the garrison at the moment. LX46 already going to the middle, as you can see right here. We also still have that major fight at the Desert Altar. I feel like LX46 wanted to have this completed by now before they go to the middle, because there's a lot of players here around this Desert Altar that need to refresh, and they need to be doing it now because it's going to take them a minute to get back to their city, and then it's going to take them another 2 minutes to get to the middle. And with 5 minutes until this arc spawns, they want their troops there a lot faster than that. Jadwigo in the garrison right now. These players need to move to the middle if they have full marches, or go and refresh if they do not. Now, the rest of the map basically fully red. We've got all the outposts all red on the LX46 side. We do have a sentry being placed by Mimi right beside the obelisk on the top lane of LX46, which is a smart placement. Now, conversely, we do have LX46 placing their sentry right in front of where Mimi will start to assemble. This actually may work out in their favor just simply because Mimi hasn't started going to the middle quite as quickly as did LX46. I don't see a whole lot coming to the middle for Mimi right now. They're really focusing buildings. Look at this. They're really hard pushing on this desert altar. They may try and go behind. Let's see what... Yeah, see, LX46 doesn't see this just yet. Black Shadow here may get a visibility of this, which may trigger the rest of the folks to actually see it. Shrine of War is still in favor of Mimi on the bottom lane, so they're not quite evened up on the buildings just yet, and still outposts that are supposed to be blue are still red. More troops for Mimi coming up from the bottom towards the desert altar. Mimi may look to be making a major push for the altars instead of the middle fight. That's what I'm seeing based off of where people should be versus where people are right now. But that doesn't mean that Mimi can't turn and flip a switch and go ahead and get to the middle if they so choose to. This Tariq, what is this? Tariq what? Let's see. Tariq and Pakal. Okay, so a little bit more tanky rally. Not doing as much damage as, say, a Tariq Sargon, but still doing pretty good damage. Mimi is starting to come to the middle, I think, but I think it might be a little too late. Because, look, if we look at Mimi's vision here, let me actually pick Mimi. There we go. They have no vision in the middle whatsoever. They see someone on the outside here, and you can see Mimi harassing the people coming in from the top lane, or the bottom lane, excuse me, from their obelisk. And also, Mimi did take their obelisk, and she is sitting here. They're just sitting here waiting. 1.5 minutes left until this obelisk goes red. Could you imagine the Mimi tribe porting in here? This could be a big deal. Now, this is a single march. This is not a rally. This is also likely a single march as well. One player came over here and looks like it took this. I don't think they're going to be able to keep it for that minute, but we're going to have to see. This is two of their strongest players over here on top of the obelisk. I don't know if that's going to be exactly what the doctor ordered, but if they could keep this for one more minute, that's tough. That's tough. We kind of have to watch this, don't we? I mean, there's tons of other buildings blinking, and there's a middle fight that's about to start going down, I think, but we kind of have to see this. This could actually mean a big deal to the blue team and the red team if this goes blue. 40 seconds until this captures for Mimi. I don't know if there's enough troops to put more in. I just don't think... Oh, they just swapped again. Where are these troops coming from? For the red team, I just don't see them. 25 seconds. This may actually go in favor of Mimi, and then you've got a teleportation problem on your hands. There is only one teleport at the moment, but once this captures, you should get something for it. There may be enough for one or two more. I mean, they're swarming this thing down. 12 seconds. There we go. LX46 gets it back, but again, conversely, Desert Altar went down a minute ago for LX46. Mimi owns it now. We see Dust Up being used in the middle, and here we go. TX46 pushing hard on Mimi. What's there anyway? As we could see earlier, we saw people at the obelisk for Mimi. We saw people at altars for Mimi. I think they went very heavily towards the structure game and decided to dodge this first arc fight in the middle. You probably don't even need to use any skills in the middle if you're LX46. Save some of those points up. Use total vision for big fights outside, and then see what we can do from there. Here's more and more fights happening right here. As you can see, Dust Up being used, but again, there's not really a whole lot going on here that needs Dust Up. It's an easy cleanup. Mimi is kind of trickling in here at the moment. Too little, too late. But again, they did damage on the structure game. Look at this, 48,000 or 4,800, excuse me, versus 3,600. So it's a 1,200 point delta in favor of Mimi. The point generation totals are very heavily favored towards Mimi as well. It's 400 points per minute in favor of the red team. Now they are pulling from the middle, and rightly so, to go and defend these buildings and start likely attacking and defending this Desert Altar as well. These people that were here that took the Desert Altar did a great job not only capturing it, but holding it, and now it's generating points. 710 points per minute versus 280 for LX46. LX46 needs this arc just to stay in it at the very beginning. It's already a 1,500 point match. in favor of the red team because of how strong their structure game has been. Looks like that got defeated. So the obelisk stays in the blue team's hold. But again, Sky Altar now is red. And Sky Altar is staying red at the moment with more troops around from Mimi. We've got Sky Altar red with Jadwiga Garrison. LX46 looking to swarm. Is that the Garrison or what is that? It's just a Trajan. I don't know if Trajan will help in this scenario. We'll buff a little bit on the swarmers, but not really that big of a deal. I would much rather have a damage dealer. But we have a lot of those already all around the Sky Altar swarming it down, but there's still Mimi marches here that could go in and fill this Jadwiga Garrison. Even if you're infantry like this Guan, I would still put it in there unless you're the Garrison and go ahead and keep that full and kill these swarming marches. More LX46 coming in from the top to get this back. 4 altars currently are red, which again is a big deal. Look at this. We're almost at a 2,000 point difference for the red team in favor of the red team. Now we do have the Arc in blue team's hands. Smokey Miller running with the Guan, which is not the fastest march, especially if you're not hopping buildings or cities or farming nodes, but it's getting the job done. You do have a double C sitting there right there, but there's nowhere to hop into a caravan to drop the Arc for you. So the double C is just waiting to get that eventually. Now 3 altars are red. They did get their Sky Altar back, but again, there's still more red around here with an XY Garrison. That's not going to do the trick. There is no more support coming from Mimi, though, on that area. LX46 needs to attack this Shrine of Life to pull the pressure from the Sky Altar. We do have the Arc still moving, although very, very slowly with that Guan March. We do have more and more fights over here at the Desert Altar. Now LX46 trying to come back and salvage as much damage as they can. Get this Desert Altar back, start ticking points for themselves. Once they capture this Arc, it'll likely end up being basically a tied game because it's a 2,500 point delta right now for Mimi. This is a 3,000 point Arc. Assuming they can get this thing back quickly and start ticking points in their favor, they should be just fine to knot this game up even. Now, this did go down to Mimi. Now Mimi has this secured. YSS primary on the Garrison. Interesting. That means somebody had that on the field, YSS primary, to use. Zenobia primary is a little bit more effective and a little bit more reasonable. We do have LX46 going by this, though. Just kind of, a lot of them just going by to maybe give some more support to the Sky Altar. I'm not sure. But it looks like Shrine of War will go back down in favor of LX46, but it's going to take some time, at least, 45 seconds, I think, by the time this goes back blue. So that's more points not being generated. And now the Desert Altar goes back again in favor of Mimi here. Mimi really holding strong. This rally trying to take it down. Jan Garrison going down, now finally back into the LX46 hands. Mimi held this Desert Altar for probably a good 5 minutes. And that's why they have a 3,000 point lead right now. So we have about 300 points until it's a 3,000 point lead. We do have an Arc coming here eventually. My goodness. This Guan is taking it the distance. There's some trees over there, Arc. I hope you enjoy the view. We're going all the way back to the obelisk. I think they need to capture these things like back to back to back to back if they want to stand a chance of being in there. Now, they may also start switching up their strategy. You never know. So many Mimi players here. Look at this. Just swarming this Desert Altar. It's going to go down again. Unless they get some significant reinforcements very quickly. This is going to go down again in favor of red. There it goes. So, Nevsky Garrison, that'll likely get switched over to something a little bit more tanky or AoE related. This Shrine of War still is red. LX46 having a hard... So, here's where I'm seeing the problem. LX46 doing a great job, did a great job with the middle, doing a great job with positioning, but it's just taking them so long to get these buildings back. Now, obviously, a lot of that has to do with how strong Mimi is. They're a 6 billion team. They got tons of huge players with top-tier equipment. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, so I'm not saying this is something that's baffling, but at the same time, we've got a Freddy Garrison over here. Let's see if this Henry can take this down before this Boudica Prime takes down the Henry and also the new Archer Commander Zhuge. Looks like it may go down. Mimi should hop in here instead of just swarming the rally. Let's see if they do that. It is 3 different players, so all 3 of these players could hop into the Shrine of Life. Big reinforcements coming in from LX46. This is exactly what I said they needed to do. They needed to do this so that they could keep the pressure off of their Sky Altar. They need to be able to take this down, keep the pressure off their Sky Altar, then pressure this coming in. and maintain. See, now you see here, there's just a single rally or a single march, really, trying to take down this Pakal-led garrison, which is also a thing. Desert Altar here, Guan garrison. We just love using open field commanders for garrisons in this match. That's all I'm seeing right now. Do see lots more fights around this Desert Altar here. Does finally go back down to LX46 for the moment, but again, that just happened about 2 minutes ago. So all this time, this building is supposed to be generating points for LX46. It is not, because Mimi keeps taking it back. And there it goes again. 2-minute timer again. You need to get, like, LX46 needs to put the people in the Desert Altar when they take it. They need to have a proper garrison ready to rock and roll when it happens. I see nothing but open field marches here right now. Lots of Nevskis, lots of Guans, lots of Boudica Primes, lots more Guans, lots more Guans, and Zhuge. So again, these are not going to be your garrison commanders. Conversely, we do have a couple people for Mimi running around with YSS Primary, and now they have Yan. Again, Yan is very tanky, very good in the field and in the garrison, and very good from a reinforcement standpoint because he's a Cav garrison commander. We have more and more Cav coming up from the bottom for Mimi to reinforce this. There's just marches. There's finally a Jadwiga garrison here for LX46, but now they need to take it back again, which they're about to do, it looks like, but that's more time away. Now, luckily for LX46, they did capture the Sky Altar. It's currently a 200-point game after capturing the Ark is LX46. They're still behind. They do have a bit of a point per minute total benefit right now, but it's very, very small. Now, I will say that LX46 has done a great job of recovering the push. They did take this Shrine of Life here with 30 seconds. This is actually going to tick 80 points in favor of LX46, which is exactly what they want to see. Nice open field contingent here to block the push from Mimi to try and take this back. Wu garrison on the front line. I'm not upset seeing that. That's actually a decent garrison. If that's all you've got. Of course, you want to have a Yan or even a Heraclius or a Heracles. I mean, you can definitely have that up here too, but you need people going in to keep it. You need people going in the garrison to keep it. You got to fill it up. They did capture the building at least for a second, so they'll get a tick there. It's less than a 100-point difference right now, and they do have people going in, but more and more Mimi are coming over to go and address this. But again, as you can see, that limited the amount of swarm coming from Mimi on the Sky Altar. And with Flavius Primary, if they can just get a few marches coming in, this is likely to go down. I don't know. Yeah, this is likely to go down. You have Guans to silence. You've got just damage all day. And there's just not enough LX46 killing the swarmers. I would kill the Guans as quickly as possible, but it's just going to go down. It's just going to go down because there's just not enough there. We do have Shrine of War, again, still in Mimi hands. 1 minute, 30 seconds until it starts ticking points. LX46 trying to address this one as well. We did just talk about it. This went down. Guan Garrison now for Mimi. This is still blue, which is really nice. But again, I'd rather have my Sky Altar back. If we had 4 or 5 of those marches back at the Sky Altar, LX46 could definitely be telling themselves a different story with the Sky Altar still remaining blue. But instead, it is now red. Nevsky Garrison on the Shrine of War because that's who took it. And now that is also blue. So we've got 3 of the 4 altars blue or red. We've got 3 of the 4 shrines blue, but now that one just switched back to red again. This is going to be a lower scoring game. The reason I say that is because of this. 360 points per minute for LX46, 330 points per minute for Mimi, and that's because they just keep swapping building. Everybody keeps losing their buildings. So swarm is a thing, people. I mean, it will definitely cause, if you have a concerted effort on a swarm, to go ahead and lose that building. Now there's a couple marches over here that are here to defend and garrison the Sky Altar for Mimi. LX46 needs more troops here. Lucas looks like he's trying to get his Guan back. And the Boudica Prime garrison doing what it can to survive. Delay the point generation for LX46 as much as possible. Now, did Mimi decide to go to the middle? They did. Look at this. The middle fight is about to commence. Everybody's positioning in the middle. LX46 pushing heavy. I don't see any sentries anywhere. Let's see. Do you see any sentries anywhere? Can you count the sentries on the screen? 1 sentry. 2 sentry. There's no sentries. 0 sentries are on the screen. Mimi is huddled up strong around here. I feel like Mimi's ball is a little bit bigger. Yeah, it's definitely bigger than the LX46 ball. If I was Mimi, I would push and wipe this out while more reinforcements come in behind. I would not use any skills yet. But here we go. So a little bit of a small skirmish clash is going to set off the chain and get these guys rolling. Here we go. Here comes skills being used. Mimi using Dust Up. LX46 using Mystical Formation, an older skill. Mimi using Total Vision. Again, 20% all damage bonus. War Drums and Heaven's Grace. So Heaven's Grace being used by Mimi as well. So Mimi just burned through all of their points. There's still some points to use for LX46. I think maybe 2 points remain. But we have a lot of troops coming in for Mimi from the bottom lane and middle lane, mostly from the middle lane. I think we have a lot more coming in from LX46, though. Although harassing marches from Mimi on the top lane here, this is delaying the reinforcement of LX46 as well as causing damage to them. Lots of troops for LX46 going down. That Heaven's Grace not doing what they think it wanted it to do. LX46 should reposition right behind the arc instead of just flooding in one by one to go into the Mimi Buzzsaw. I think that that's the better play here, but Mimi doing a great job of pushing forward towards the Temple of Osiris. Keep in mind, Mimi used the newer skills, so Total Visions are all damage buffs, whereas Mystical Formation and War Drums are stat buffs. So all damage buffs are always better, in my opinion, than stat buffs, especially when it comes to Ark of Osiris and Osiris League, because you already get a skill damage bonus playing this event. So those all stack up, and when you have multiplicative stackings, it's always a good thing for all damage. I think that's why Mimi ended up winning this fight, alongside of the fact that I think they had more players on the front line there than did LX46. And also LX46 got harassed pretty bad on the back lines here, and that hurt their reinforcements. So now we have Mimi surrounding this Ark of Osiris spot. It is currently basically an even matchup. Nobody has a significant advantage, although when I say that, Mimi does have 4 altars. So now Mimi definitely has a significant advantage. 440 points per minute versus 290. If any of those start capturing in favor of the red team, this could blow away really quick. This could be a master stroke move by Mimi here. Grabbing the Ark of Osiris and grabbing all 4 altars, that would be a huge deal. They lost their own, but that's easier to get back than the forward ones. So that's still good play by Mimi. We do have LX46 still kind of just streaming in. There's a rally here, but this looks like it's going to an outpost, which 500,000 troops, not going to make too much of a difference when you've got about 2 million troops here in the middle for Mimi. Maybe more. Not maybe, lots more. Millions of troops. And you can see, look, there. It's like a 4-to-1 fight right here, because every time 1 or 2 marches come in for LX46, they just go back with a sad face, because it's 5-6-to-1 every time they greet the front line of Mimi. So this is exactly what you want to be doing if you're a Mimi, or if you're in this position yourself in your own Osiris League or Ark of Osiris match. That's how you want it to look. You want your enemy to stream in one by one as you're in a nice ball to buzzsaw them as they go back. Now the Saladin is under duress, but it's only from 1 march that's about to go down, and there it goes. It is now sad because it can't touch the arc carrier anymore, and it has no troops to tell what to do. So more marches coming in from LX46, trying to do whatever it can to slow it down. Is there any kind of back push? See, this is a problem. If I'm the blue team, this is a problem. You either want to go after the structures, or if you want to go after the arc. You don't want to go to the middle. Let's see if this guy's paying attention to his marches. If he just keeps... Okay, there we go. He moved. What about this one? You have more than 1. Move him. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting match here to see here. Can they keep the Shrine of War? It is a new Archer Commander Zooge. Now it's Jan. Okay, there we go. Jan holding this down, at least for now. There is lots of troops for LX46 to actually do some things with, but Mimi coming in from the middle as well with their leftovers to go ahead and more heavily pressure this. Now Mimi still owns this Desert Altar up here with Jan garrisoning. Lots of troops here able to hop in and garrison this to keep it even longer. Points per minute total, again, heavily skewed towards Mimi. We have 530 to 210. That's a 320 point delta in favor of the red team. Still holding this Desert Altar at least for a little bit longer. There it goes with blue. Blue on the Shrine of War as well still, that's a good hold for LX46, especially considering it had an Archer Commander as its garrison for a little bit. More Mimi streaming in from the middle, though. These are full marches, so these probably came from the base or from a long distance away, and were coming up the middle to support the arc when it was actually getting fought for. And then now it is coming over to the Shrine of War to cause some damage. 26 seconds until this is recaptured for LX46, but there's a lot of red over here that may have something to say about it. Let's check on the arc really quick. It is still marching over towards the cities. This can be captured in a city, by the way. Just make sure you guys are aware of that. This can be captured instantly in a city, although looks like it's not going to instantly capture. They're going to go ahead and run it around a little bit, maybe reset themselves or hold it. There's 1 minute and 50 seconds until this respawns in the middle with no points being generated. They may hold it for a little bit of time to reset, but also to deny LX46 the ability to catch up, which to me actually makes a lot of sense. Mimi has been very strong on the buildings and has been at their best on the buildings, in my opinion, during this matchup. This Yon's going to go down. There it goes. Shrine of War back in favor of the red team. 2 minutes on the garrison, generating some points. Boudica Prime, again, we love to see our open field commanders doing some, garrison work. You're not just open field. You got more jobs than that. So there's our Nevsky garrison as well. Our open field commanders doing some work on the garrison side. Hidden Sentry being used by the blue team. Hidden Sentry being used by the red team. Basically identical spots. In fact, it almost got popped right on top of where we were already looking. It's right there. Looks like LX46 will take and hold this back, which is nice, but they did, in the meantime, lose that Shrine of War, and there's more and more red marches coming up for Mimi to try and keep this as long as possible. You still have the Arc over here sitting pretty by Nobu, and this Shrine of Life is under duress, heavy duress, from LX46, but there is enough here to hold it if played correctly by the red team. They can kill some marches. They can also fill with full marches. This could definitely be a one down to the wire kind of situation. Let's check the Sky Altar out. Definitely okay for the blue team. This is the hardest one for blue team to get back. We have a lot of marches from the red team trying to kill themselves so that they can get the marches back. I think this will go blue very shortly, but again, the damage is done. Conversely, this Desert Altar will go in favor of red here. Blue team just doesn't have any support for this Tariq Pakal rally. I think the Shrine of War is the most exciting one on the bottom lane here, so let's keep an eye on that one. See if this goes down in favor of blue. It may very well do that. You've got a rally and swarm, although the swarmers are low on health. And there still is multiple marches coming in for Mimi. This may still stay red, although it's going to be a tight race to see who wins it. Zenobia doing everything she can to hold this. Now more marches swarming, and there it goes in favor of the blue team. There goes LX46 getting another Shrine of Life. That's 10% health for all troops because they own 2 Shrine of Lives. Interesting. Desert Altar still sitting pretty on the red team on their defensive Desert Altar. Now, defensive Desert Altar for the blue team. Now, blue team is doing everything they can to hold this. They can't afford to lose this again. It's already a 1,600 point match in favor of the red team, and the red team has a 3,500 point wild card in their pocket. That's called the Ark of Osiris. Rally being sent out by this Mimi player, likely towards the Sky Altar or Shrine of War. We'll see. Let's go take a peek at the fight over here on the Desert Altar. Looks like, again, over-addressing maybe a little bit is the concern here. LX46 with about 15 marches here, maybe more, defending this Desert Altar, which they needed to have. Again, this is a critical structure for them to hold if they want to continue to stay in this game, with now looking at maybe a 5,000 point, being down 5,000 points to the red team. There's still plenty of time to do what they need to do to win this match. But if they do what they need to do, it's still going to be a very close match. Whereas Mimi, if they do what they need to do, it's going to be a blowout. So we need to see which way this starts to sway. I think they need to take the mystical formation and war drum skills off their bar for LX46. and replace them with the newer skills that have the all damage buff. Those are going to be your better solutions, in my opinion. Especially when you're going against overgeared players like you're going to be facing against 6 billion power teams. So you have Mimi here swarming and grabbing that Shrine of Life. Now the health bonus has swapped. The Shrine of Lives are both grabbed by the red team. So now they have the 10% health bonus and 10% march speed bonus once they are captured. So that's very, very strong there. And you have the Shrine of War here under duress, but it looks like LX46 would be okay-ish. At least before all these marches from Mimi come back up. Now this is interesting. They're right beside each other. They should have vision. Let's just see. They don't. That is so close for them to not have vision. Mimi does not have vision of these marches here. That is, and LX46 doesn't have vision of that march. Now they do have LX46 their sentry here, but that's so interesting. Let me go back to the Mimi vision. They just don't see any blue marches here. That's incredible. Those marches were like right here, and they could not see these players sitting very, very tight towards this pyramid area, the Sphinx area. Let's see if... Yeah, here we go. Here comes Chen coming over. They're like, wait a minute. There's some stuff over here. Let me go back. So here's LX46 with the side flank, the hidden side flank, and trying to grab this Desert Altar, moving all the Mimi players off, hoping that they would just run off so they can maybe ninja capture this Desert Altar. That's not a bad move. Now, conversely, again, Mimi just overpowering LX46 on their Sky Altar and just saying, hey, you know, we're just going to take this. We have enough players here to just swarm it down and keep it. This Gilgamesh rally is not going to cut it in favor of the Jadwiga versus the Counter Swarm. Ooh, man, I love the Fog of War. It adds a little bit of an extra dimension. I don't know if anybody necessarily has taken full advantage of it yet, except for maybe one player I saw last week using it to their advantage to ninja capture these obelisks by sitting in the caravan. They sit their caravan march, their double C march in the caravan, and then they run over here and quick hasty departure over to the obelisk and snag it, hoping that nobody has garrison in it. Now, speaking of garrisons, all the garrisons on the altars belong to Mimi because these are all red buildings currently. So very big point generation or point stopping generation for Mimi here. Looks like there's an LX46 sentry being placed down right here, right on top of that Nevsky. Man, Mimi's starting to throw some weight around here. Desert Altar on both sides, owned by Mimi and the red team. And then again, Sky Altars on both sides. This one's about to start taking points, and there's no blue in sight. Mimi really starting to own the open field above the Sky Altar over here on the bottom lane. And then same thing here. Desert Altar, it's taking LX46 forever to get through here. And when they do, they just don't have any troops left because they've been buzzsawed. More marches coming up for Mimi to support this push. This is a huge deal for Mimi. This is exactly what they wanted to do if they were going to pull away. Now we're up to a 3,000 point difference with a 650 to 240 points per minute advantage for the red team Mimi. Still holding on to this arc. And as soon as I say that, he starts moving towards the obelisk. He should have just captured it right here. Come on, you can do it. Just capture it. You're fine. Everything's fine. Nothing's burning around you. He's just moving around. Come on. All right. Obelisk under duress. They have enough troops up here when they're trying to kill stuff, so they went after the obelisk instead of a city to try and get their troops back, but also to see if they could stop some more point generation, which is kind of nice. 4 minutes left until this arc respawns and gives nobody points. Looks like these red marches giving up on that obelisk, deciding to go ahead and go after the city instead. The city is a little low on power, which means it's a little low on troops. Arc being dropped. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Don't pick it up. Oh. LX46 resetting the 15-minute timer. And with 19 minutes, 58 seconds left, that basically completely kills, if they decide to hold this, the ability for another arc to spawn. Interesting. I don't know if that was done on purpose or if somebody was yelling at that person in chat. But now the red team Mimi has the ability to completely shut down arcs for the rest of the game. Timer is reset, top left corner. 1442 remaining before it respawns. That again effectively gives Mimi the chance to control the rest of the game via arc. Now we still have again LX46 trying to get down their own Sky Altar back in blue. They did get the Desert Altar back. Surprisingly, 30 seconds ago, there was so much Mimi over here. It was hard to see LX46 getting this back. But it looks like they did. Is there any pushing towards the... No, there's just no way to push towards the bottom. Mimi has so many open field troops. Looks like they're going more for the outside lane on the top lane. Trying to push and get the Sky Altar away from Mimi to try and stop some point generation here. Looks like they got their Sky Altar back. Did LX46, but at what cost? 480 points per minute to 290 for LX46. Mimi's still in the driver's seat, not only from a points per minute standpoint, but from a total point standpoint, and now having full control of the remainder of the arcs in this match. It's kind of a big deal. Mimi doing everything they need to do to win this matchup, and LX46 may have given that away by resetting the timer on that arc. If they didn't do that, they would have gotten one more arc shot, and that would have been a 4,000 point arc. And if they won that while simultaneously holding their buildings, there could have been a chance for LX46 to actually take this matchup. I think with Mimi holding this and not capturing it, that could be the nail in the coffin for LX46 by Mimi. Mimi doing exactly what they need to do to win this matchup. Now, losing the Sky Altar is Mimi on the top lane here. Again, our open field garrisons are doing their best to hold these buildings for more than 10 seconds. But when you got swarmers swarming these open field marches as garrisons, it goes down very, very quickly because there's absolutely no reduction inside these buildings. And there we go. Back to red is the Sky Altar on the top lane. Big push again from Mimi over here on the Desert Altar, top lane. Proper garrison on here with Zenobia primary. Again, a lot of folks are switching from Zenobia primary to Yan primary because the reinforcements being cavalry are a lot quicker to reinforce and a lot quicker to go ahead and fill this building back up. A lot of people are making that the meta, although there's multiple different metas that people are using. I know Zenobia is very, very slow. I can tell you that. All buildings basically blinking here. We have the Yadwiga garrison is also meta with maybe a YSS. Let's see if there's any water coming out of here with a big boat. There it is. So it is Yadwiga YSS as the garrison for Mimi. Very good, very strong. We also again have another Yadwiga with likely YSS on this garrison too, but being heavily swarmed and rallied is LX46 on that. So that actually may go down. Speaking of going down, though, this Desert Altar did go down in favor of the red team. Zenobia had a garrison on the field ready to hop in. Very strong there from Mimi. Now it's Yadwiga. They had two garrisons ready to rock and roll. That's the mark of a very good team. Now we've got more marches going up towards the obelisk here. And now 3 altars are in favor of Mimi. 4th altar is blinking. A rally coming in from with a Nevsky primary and some open field to swarm, but all the open field is half dead or worse. So it looks like this will actually be held by LX46. So at least to hold one. Speaking of things that aren't held, though, look at this. Flower of Mimi. Perfume of Mimi. Coming over here and solo swarming this down. Looks like Udo Miller trying to do whatever he can to get this building back. And just like that, this is another problem that LX46 has to solve. They're down 3 altars, and they've lost their obelisk, and it's ticking down to the point where maybe one of those Mimis ports in over in this section here and just starts killing all the reinforcements coming out of the city. These players on the Mimi side have the ability to just stream troops out of their city without bothering to heal because they have so much power. This looks like it will eventually go down, though. Still not quite enough to go ahead and garrison that and hold it for long enough. Now, speaking of holding it, still have the Ark sitting over here with Mimi. in their safe area, their safe space, and still pouring out of their cities to support these movements, although just losing the Shrine of Life there about 4 seconds ago. This Henry rally looks like it did what it's supposed to do, but now it's getting swarmed down. Might need maybe 1 or 2 more. Maybe 1 more to come over here and finish this off a little quicker. You got 3 more marches from 2 players coming in. That's good. That's 2 more reinforcements if they want to try and keep it a little longer. I still can't believe they just let these 2 players from... They just let these 2 players from Mimi just come over here and swarm us down. More reinforcements coming in. Let's see if they can see that. Yeah, they can only see the 1, then 2. They don't see the 3rd one coming in. It's the same player, but 3 marches. And more marches coming up from the south. This is going to... Very likely the Sky Altar will be red in about 2 or 3 minutes. This Wu holding strong. This Wu holding very strong on the Shrine of Life. They did have to pull over at least 1 or 2 more marches, plus 3 or 4 more others to continue to swarm us down. Dust Up being used by Mimi. Again, they can use all these skills at their leisure because they have the arc in their pocket. So they really don't have to worry about saving points for the next arc, because if they do it right, there won't be a next arc. They can use their skills effectively, whereas LX46 can not really figure it out because they don't know if they're going to have another mid-fight or not. If Mimi decides to capture it now, there would be another mid-fight in the middle to grab what needs to be done. Dust Up still affecting LX46, but not Mimi. This Sky Altar likely will go down. Let me see this. Man, I thought for sure this was going to be going down. Here's the rally coming in. It looks like LX46 was able... Oh, no, never mind. They just didn't come up yet. They just didn't come up yet. This player here needs to get a move on. Just need to start moving. I don't think this is any kind of, like, hidden play or anything. I mean, they can't see him, but I feel like this is supposed to move to the Sky Altar. They got it anyway, but this player needs to move. Went to go eat a burrito or something. All right, here we go. More marches coming out from the bottom lane of Mimi. Now, again, they own 3 altars, including 2 Sky Altars. Jadwiga Garrison, the choice here for Mimi. This player's still sitting pretty, admiring the Sphinx. And what can he see? Okay, so he can see the steps of the Sphinx, like really clearly, and then like some shadows here and around the Sphinx there. Interesting. Shrine of Life, Shrine of War here. Let's see what both. Here we go. Dust Up still under effect for LX46. LX46 coming to this Desert Altar again. Jadwiga Garrison is the choice for Mimi, and LX46 making a hard push here towards the Desert Altar. Dust Up being used by Mimi earlier is having a little bit of an effect on the ability for these marches to get where they need to be. Hidden Sentry being used by LX46 as well right here. Now it's a Jan Garrison. Looks like that Jadwiga might have died or got pulled out. I don't see a sad face going back for Mimi, so it looks like it just pulled out. Or got swapped in general. Jadwiga's back. It just got swapped. We've got really big damage going on here. Lots of red numbers floating above the garrison here, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. We have more marches coming in for LX46, but they're slow because of the Dust Up skill. We have Mimi, however, full blast, running full speed. No Dust Up used by LX46. I believe, I would have to think LX46 has 10 points to use, but they're trying to save them just in case there's a middle fight. But it did look like the arc was captured by Mimi a couple minutes ago while I wasn't paying attention to it, and now 10 minutes left with 6-minute timer on. They're going to go to the mid. I don't know if that's the right decision or not. All I know is Mimi owns 4 altars again, so this is exactly what they want to do before another mid fight if there is one. But is there enough time for LX46 to get it? It is a 7,000 point match right now. 4,000 points are what's up for grabs in the middle if they decide to go that route. So they need to find another 3,000. Does LX46 if they want to even tie this thing up? And I just don't know if they have that, considering all of the altars are now red. Eventually these will go back blue, but I don't know if it's going to be in enough time for LX46 to get themselves back in this matchup. Really strong effort by LX46, though. They've done a great job against what seems to be a fairly superior opponent from an equipment and setup standpoint. Strategy has been pretty solid by LX46. Same thing with Mimi, really focusing heavy on these buildings and doing a great job disrupting the point generation. The whole match has kind of looked like this, although LX46 has knotted it up even quite a bit as well, taking the Sky Altar on the top lane away from Mimi too. But right now you can see it's, what is this, a 420 point difference in favor of Mimi, the red team. That's a very, very solid number. Looks like 3 out of the 4 now are still red. The Sky Altar looks like it'll be red for at least a little bit longer, and it's currently actually ticking points for the red team. So, again, that's why the numbers are so high. Mid-fight looks like it may actually happen, maybe. Yes, it will happen. And Mimi decided to go ahead and capture it just a little bit early, so there actually is a mid-fight. So I guess it's a good thing that LX46 saved up their skills from earlier. Mimi did use one skill that cost points over the last 10 minutes, and that was Dust Up, and that's only a two-point skill. So not too much used. They likely will have 10 points by the time this arc spawns. This has been happening all game as well. There's 1 or 2 players that come over here from the red team on the top of the lane, and they just harass all the members that are coming into the middle to fight. And by the time they get there, they're either dead or, like this player that just lost his march. This player did too. This player did too. These are all marches that should be in the middle. But because Mimi has been able to harass not only the Shrine of War here, but also the marches going into the middle. Look at that. They cleared it out. They completely cleared it out. This isn't just 1 or 2 players either. This is probably 3 players, 3 or 4 players, with varying numbers of marches of their own. Rally coming in as well on the Shrine of War. This is a great example of being placed at the right place at the right time. Sky Altar going back blue here after being red for just a little bit as well. This finally got the garrison dislodged from the Mimi Sky Altar, which is now the LX46 Sky Altar. We also have the Desert Altar up here, still getting harassed, but it's only by a single player. This is the mid-fight's the thing, but again, like, it's hard if you're LX46 to organize because these players just completely routed your south side contingent of players that were supposed to be going to the middle. So now you only have the top and a little bit from the middle. It's not going to be enough to take on Mimi. Now, again, both teams should have roughly 10 points. I know for a fact LX46 has got 10 points, but Mimi should have 10 points as well by the time 2.5 minutes when this arc spawns, maybe even a minute and some change, and this fight's going to go ahead and pop off. Still getting harassed. That contingent that was over here on the top left here is now moved into the top area where most of the organizing tends to happen. We got this player here. Let's see if he gets hit. If he's not paying attention and doesn't move and just goes right into it. No, we're not going to be able to see it. The fight starts. Total Vision being used by Mimi. Very strong skill. Gives you damage bonus as well as visibility bonus. To the Death being used by LX46. Heaven's Grace also being used by LX46. To the Death also being used by Mimi. Mimi is now sandwiching LX46 in the middle with fully buffed troops and heals. So this is going to go badly for LX46. I can already see it coming, and it's only because LX46 couldn't get all their troops to the middle because half of them were killed. And I wouldn't say it's not their fault, but it's also something that they just couldn't deal with for all 3 arc fights. Especially the last 2 arc fights. That's how it went. Mimi controlled the corners on the LX46 side, and that's really what won these mid fights, alongside of Mimi just being really strong in the mid fight. But LX46 doing everything they can, but it's just not quite enough. And with 5 minutes left in this match, Mimi winning this mid fight, this is all but closing off the arc points, the 4,000 points for this. They're already down by almost 9,000 points. So that basically nails the coffin in. 20 seconds until the arc spawns. Mimi could technically grab it and run it to capture the points. Not that it's necessary. It's kind of like a dunk at the end of a basketball game that's already out of hand. But here we are seeing, again, what is another solid fight in the middle. These guys here were the troopers, though. Like, these guys here, there was people over here that are currently with the main ball now. These guys were the ones that did the damage. Like, everybody in the middle just got to enjoy killing what was left of LX46's troops because they were killed outside of the middle lane before they even got there. Now, there is another obelisk swap here, but again, it did go back to blue. Looks like maybe Mimi did her thing again. Another open field primary commander as the garrison. It's going to drop instantly. Back into the red team here very shortly. Let's take a look at the arc as that goes red again. Free and clear. That sentry is seeing exactly where that arc is going. Looks like it's going to try and beeline for the outpost, so it is going to do a little bit of BM there, but not too bad. I mean, points are points. You actually want points here, guys. So there is no such thing. Let me rephrase what I just said. There is no BM in Osiris League. Points are a thing. If teams are tied, it goes to the highest point total. So you need to make sure that you score as many points as humanly possible if you're going to be in a situation where you feel like you're going to be tied with another team to go into the final 16 of your realm. So something to think about. You know, my first thought, obviously, is this is overboard and you don't need these points, but you may need these points. This is something that you might need down the road to break a tiebreaker. So definitely want to have that. All right, here's a big fight over around the Shrine of War, Jan Garrison for LX46. But again, this looks like it's going to go down. Lots of red players here, and there it goes. It's now red. Do have the arc slowly making its way to this little outpost down here. Shrine of Life, under duress. Looks like it might actually go down. Here comes the Jadwiga garrison. Look how speedy it is. Oh, that was the same player too. Look at that. Nice swap. These are not rallies. These are two, like, none of these are rallies. These are two open field marches. This may actually hold. Not 100%. This guy is still sitting here. This guy is still sitting here doing nothing. He has been sitting here perusing and spectating the whole match. Not the whole match, but since the last time I highlighted him, he has been sitting there. He's supervising. He's doing some supervising so everybody else can do what they're supposed to do. Still over here on the Shrine of War, another open field commander manning the garrison. We have 1:43 left until this thing is over. Looks like, okay, let me go over here. Looks like this player here stopped him from this is actually good. Now, obviously it's not going to impact the actual game, but this stops this arc from being captured because it's not going to have enough time to run over to one of these other outposts. It's just not. So now this player doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what to do. It's 1:11 left. These marchers are coming over here to try and kill this outpost, but it's just not going to happen. And now an emoji war starts as buildings continue to start flipping. I mean, man, if this ends up being a big deal, you know, what if Mimi's tied with somebody and they need a tiebreaker and the total points is lower by just a little bit? This could be the thing that did it. You need to get back in that outpost, man. All right, there you go. This is what we wanted to watch the entire time. I'm not gonna lie. Got another swarm on that obelisk. Dust up being, I mean, they're just using points at this point. I was hoping to see some fun skills maybe used on this one. Maybe master strategy, transporting 20 troops across the map, or 30 troops across the map for in 20 seconds. Yeah, this Joan Prime single-handedly stopped 4,000 points being generated. Oh, it's got 10 seconds left. Is it going to actually happen? Are they still going to capture it? 3, 2, nope. They're going to keep him from capturing it. That one player just saved 4,000 points. Not that it did anything for the total match, but it did entertain us for the last 2 minutes. So that's good. We have LX46, most valuable player, Tamago Miller, getting the MVP. However, getting the MVP at life is Mimi, winning this matchup 32,662 to 23,338 for LX46. Strong plays on both sides. I think Mimi just really overpowered LX46 from a strength standpoint. And look at the total kills, 75 million to 71 million. So that was fairly close. Units healed, very small amount for Mimi. And again, there's a reason for that. They didn't really have a whole lot of need for it. But again, severely wounded was very strong for both sides. So it wasn't like it was so overpowering that it was terrible. I think Mimi had a little bit better execution on some of their strategy. And I think they also just did better overall with the middle. And again, they didn't need to do that last arc, but they did. And I think I like the little extra play that LX46 did there towards the end to prevent that arc from being captured. We'll have to wait and see if that has an impact in the future of this Osiris League. But for right now, it doesn't matter to the match that they just played. Mimi with the victory, coming out on top against LX46. I hope you guys had a great time watching this with me as I was casting it. I hope you also have a great rest of your weekend. I will see you guys next week right here on this channel. Looking forward to seeing you then. Take care. Have a good one. I'll see you guys next time.